Welcome to Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. I am your host, Ashley Mahoney, and joining me today is first-time guest, but someone you are very, very familiar with, Charlotte FC midfielder, Brandt Bronico. Brandt, I was about to say Charlotte 49ers. That is still where my mind is when it comes to, you were with Chicago for 2017 to 2020, but still, when I think of you, I still think of Brandt Bronico, Charlotte 49ers midfielder. How you doing?
You covered like all of our games, so I just feel like it's habit by now.
It is indeed. And even with teammates who have gone on to play professionally, it's still like it's ingrained in you. But nevertheless, we're thrilled to have you on, and we're thrilled to cover your transition from playing for the 49ers to the professional ranks. And now you're back here. You were the third signing for Charlotte FC. And I think this is something that no matter what else this club does, the fact that the signing announcement came out on your wedding day to fellow 49ers alum and women's soccer player Rebecca Beatty, now Rebecca Bronico, I think that's something that's going to go down in the history books for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like just to like recap the day as a whole, everybody told us, it's going to go by super fast originally. And then I started like hearing my phone go off and just keep going off and going off. And I was like, oh shoot, like, I guess they announced it. And I was like, I can't believe like they announced it on my wedding day, like how perfect it could have lined up. So, it was definitely a super special day for Rebecca and I, just to know that we were getting married for one. And also that we were going to be spending our first year of marriage and hopefully many more years of marriage in Charlotte, North Carolina, back where we met and back where we both played soccer. So it definitely meant a lot. It was like, I was trying not to look at my phone. I was like, okay, look, I got to focus on the wedding. Like,
yep.
Everybody's like, congrats. And you're trying to like, be nice and get back to them in a timely manner. But I was like, okay, let's prioritize the wedding today. Let's enjoy that. Let's soak that up. And then, we'll get back to everybody else, throughout the weekend and next week. So really, like, I really just wanted to enjoy the weekend with my wife and friends, and it was a special time, when everybody found out that we were going back to Charlotte. So honestly, you couldn't have written it up any better. Like it was such a perfect weekend. I wish I could do it again.
Well, hey, someday when they're the HBO or Netflix or whichever outlet picks up one, and there's the Brandt Bronico the movie. You've already got, like, look, you don't even have to have script writers come in and put all this together. It's here. You couldn't have written it better.
Yeah, it's true. It's easy now.
Exactly. And to top it off, you had a former 49er teammate officiate the ceremony. Come on, you're just giving us all of the fabulous things to work with here.
Yeah, no, Hans did a great job too. He said he didn't like speaking in front of or he didn't like public speaking. But I was like, come on, man, like, it's my wedding, like, you mean a lot to me. And he was like, he kind of sucked it up and was like, okay, I'll do it. And he was a great sport about it, like got ordained in New Orleans, and did a fantastic job for Rebecca and I, and obviously it meant the world for us. So I was super happy that he did it, and super proud of the way he did it.
So what's the process like for getting ordained?
I don't think it's actually that tough. He just said that he had to go online and, complete like an application and, like pay a fee, and then he was good to go. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's not too bad. And I think it was mainly like the public speaking part that he was like, I don't know, like, but I was like, no, you got it. And he did a fantastic job.
Well, hey, you're married now, so obviously something went well. But
yeah, exactly.
you're in that process of enjoying, the first few months, because it feels like December was yesterday, but at the same time, like, no, it's St. Patrick's Day for one. We're over halfway through March. Everything is, preseason training for all intents and purposes starts for you. I know you've been training with local programs and so forth throughout the area throughout this time, but preseason training really kicks off for you on March 22nd. And now that the official word has come down from the club, you will be spending the 2021 season on loan with the Charlotte Independents. So you'll become, as of today, the first player to have played for the 49ers, perennially nationally ranked program, Division I soccer here in Charlotte. USL Championship side, the independents, and the MLS side, the inaugural MLS side with Charlotte FC. I mean, it's not a bad way to write some history.
No, no, not at all. Yeah, I know. I actually thought of that when I found out that I was going to be going on loan to the Independents, and when we made that decision with the Charlotte FC staff, because I mean there were other options, but I think the Independents was the best option for Rebecca and I, and with her job and us getting settled back in and just being back in Charlotte. This is why we signed with Charlotte, because we wanted to come back. And for me, like Charlotte, playing for the Charlotte 49ers, that was ultimately my pathway into a professional environment. And I made it a goal of mine and my priority to be back in Charlotte and to be an integral part of, the Charlotte soccer community. Just because without Charlotte soccer, I wouldn't be back in Charlotte playing soccer now. So I thought it was important to get back here. And, I was blessed enough to be signed by Charlotte FC and I wanted to stay in Charlotte. So I was committed to the city and I was committed to being back here. So I'm excited for the opportunity to do all of that.
And what is Rebecca doing now that her playing days are over? Unless there's something we should know about her signing with the Courage sometime soon. What does life after soccer look like for her?
No, I told her she should still play soccer, but she was like, no, my playing days are over. So she actually just graduated in December with her master's in mental health counseling, and she is getting licensed in North Carolina. She actually just accepted a job offer this past week. So she'll be working, and she's getting licensed maybe in 2 to 3 weeks, and she'll start her job then. So she's a working woman now, and I'm super proud of her, for getting her master's and being a great sport about, because moving, it's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super proud of her, and I know she's extremely happy to get her career kicked off as well.
And give her our best and congratulations, of course. I mean, the best part about, knowing the two of you for so long is, not only did you have to deal with me covering you in college, she did as well, especially with that 2016 team that got that NCAA tournament bid. I'm just saying it was a very, very, very cold Conference USA tournament, but that's what gloves are for. And I'm not the one who had to play in it. They did. So,
No, it was easy. It was easy. It was good.
But now that, the process of moving during a pandemic, no, not fun at all, but you've done it, you're here. What has the time in Charlotte been like? And I mean, Charlotte's changed a lot over the last year alone. What's different from when the two of you were here at school versus now?
When Rebecca and I came back, we were like, wow, like this city has grown so much. Obviously, we were here in 2019 when I proposed to Rebecca at Romare Barrington, but we didn't have like too much time to go and like explore the city because she had to get back for school, and it was just we only had a couple of days, and I was focused on the proposal, obviously. But yeah, we were talking like we couldn't believe like how much development just the city has in general. I just feel like everything has expanded so much. There's so much to do. And now that soccer is coming here and it's going to become even bigger than it was, we were just super excited. I remember talking to Rebecca on the drive-in because we actually drove up from Mandeville, Louisiana, where her parents live. Yeah, so that was like an 11 and a half hour, 11 and a half hour drive, and just like seeing the city skyline as we were driving in, it just, like I told her, I was like, man, this just like makes me happy to see this and to be back and to be a part of such a big thing in this city. It just made us happy.
Is this something that you envisioned happening while you were playing for the 49ers, or was it something that's like, yeah, it's nice to think about, it's a nice dream to have, but you're not just coming in, a couple of years down the road after the club's already been here and been established, you're helping write the narrative of what Charlotte FC's inaugural season will look like. I mean, was that something that seemed possible a couple of years ago?
I know there was like, maybe like a couple rumors that Charlotte might get an MLS team, but I don't like to believe rumors. So I never really thought too much into it. I'd be like, wow, if Charlotte got an MLS team, like I want to be a part of that for sure. but I was just focused on, the day to day, just focusing on my career. And if it happens, then, maybe we can act towards it. And if it didn't happen, well, that's just that. It was out of my control. But once I found out that Charlotte was getting an MLS team, I texted my agent. I said, I want to be in Charlotte. Like, if we can get to Charlotte, I want to be in Charlotte. And that was, I forgot, maybe it was like December 17th of 2019 when they announced it, or something around that. I remember texting them and I was like, Charlotte just got an MLS team. Like, let's make it happen. So once I found out, it was definitely like something that I wanted to be a part of. And I'm super excited and super grateful that I am a part of it.
And it's almost a year. I mean, it may have been not quite a year to the day from when the club was announced to when you signed with the club. So, I mean, a lot can change in a year. A lot can change in
You're
a week.
telling
But
me.
it's, I mean, exactly. Like, you went from the process of, well, one, getting married, brand new club, brand new city, and a whole lot wrapped into that time. So you've been here for a couple of months now. You've had an opportunity to train with the academy side, train with local high schools who have won multiple state championships, i.e. Providence High School. So what is that process like? Because now for a lot of these kids, I mean, I'll put on my hat and say, if this opportunity had presented itself when I was in high school, I mean, that's not really something that every kid gets to do. And you get to help them say, hey, it's here. Like, if you want it, go for it. So what has that experience been like?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think I felt the same way, when I was in high school, even later middle school years. I remember thinking and wishing that there was a player that I could reach out to or talk to that was local, whose shoes I wanted to be in, essentially. So I was like, so now that I'm in the position to do so, that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is that I can become an outlet or an avenue for these kids if they have questions, or just to talk about the game and how I did it, or share my story. Whatever's on their mind. And if they want to get better, I'm here. And so that's kind of what I made it a goal, especially with the academy kids. I played in an academy about an hour down the road, in Greensboro. So I know what it's like to be in their shoes. I know what it's like to play U16, U18 academy. And ultimately I just want to help, and I want to grow soccer in this community, because I feel like it's going to be a huge soccer culture here in Charlotte. And I want to be a big part of that.
Speaking of someone who's definitely been a part of, helping grow the game in the city, Kevin Langan. I mean, it's hard to think of Charlotte soccer and not think about what he's accomplished during his going on a decade, but not quite as head coach of the 49ers. But over the weekend, he celebrated his 100th win. I mean, it was a 3-0 Conference USA victory against Alabama Birmingham. I mean, there seem to be a lot of moments. There's something going on with Charlotte soccer. A lot of moments where you couldn't write it better. What have you seen out of him, or what are your thoughts in terms of him reaching that milestone?
Well, first, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, Kev, he knows the game well. He knows how to run a culture. He knows how to manage players. He has a great soccer environment. He has a great staff around him. And he's at a school where they take care of the soccer team. So, obviously I'm not surprised. And first and foremost, I'm super grateful for everything Kev did to me and did for me. He gave me so much insight. Like I said, the culture and the environment, it's there, and it breeds players who want to go to the next level. If you want to put the time in, and if you want to use the avenues, he gives you that option. And yeah, I'm sure 200 will probably come quicker than 100 for him, just because he's been a head coach for a while now. And I mean, I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for that program. And I can't thank Kev enough for everything he did for me and what he's doing for that program. If there's any guy for the job, it's Kevin Langan, that's for sure.
So future Charlotte FC head coach one day, maybe, possibly. Not necessarily right off the bat, unless that's something that, the walls should be whispering, but maybe, someday down the road, if that's in his aspiration wheelhouse, or he might just say, you know what, the collegiate ranks, I mean, he's done a phenomenal job with the program. There's something different for everyone on that note.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, I'd be one to vouch for him, that's for sure.
And I remember when you first signed with Chicago, you were drafted in 2017, and he talked about, okay, year one, go through, get it under your belt, and the grind of year two and having to solidify, okay, you know, paid your dues as a rookie. Now it's time to prove that, yes, you belong here long term. What has the journey been like for you in terms of saying that this isn't just a, hey, yeah, I made it to the professional level, this is great, play a season or two, say that you got to do that, enjoy it, call it a day? What is I know that grind set is definitely part of your repertoire, but what has the process been like of saying this is something that you want to do long term?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely hasn't been easy. Anything that's worth having is never easy. But I've always wanted to be a professional soccer player, playing in the MLS since I was 9 or 10 years old. I remember we had like I don't know, it was like a video for like each classmate in fifth grade, and they're like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And they asked me, and they asked me that, and I said, "Oh, well, I want to be a professional soccer player." Like, no brainer, right? When you're like 9, 10 years old. And they're like, "Well, what if that doesn't happen?" And I was just like dumbfounded. I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "What do you mean if that doesn't happen? Like, that's what I want to be." And so that's always been just like kind of like deep, deep in me, like a deep dream, a deep goal that I've always wanted to manifest. And I put I always put the time in, I always put the work in, and I made sure that I was going to make it. And if I didn't make it, at least I used every single ounce of my ability and my effort to go towards that goal. But fortunately for me, I did get drafted to Chicago Fire, and then it was like a next step. It was like it got even harder. It just it keeps getting harder, but you learn ways to adapt, you learn ways to cope. And you learn a lot about yourself, honestly, while also learning a lot from other players. I was fortunate enough to play with Schweinsteiger and Dax McCarty. I mean, two great midfielders and people to learn from. And like I said, I'd always pick their minds and their brains, and they would always, be willing to give me advice and whatnot. So, learning about yourself, learning from other players, and then proving and applying what you learned. So it's not easy. There's a lot of pressure, but you really just have to, like, you got to get your grind set right, and then things will start opening up and opportunities will come, and then you just have to make sure you take advantage of those opportunities.
And the opportunity for the next, not even year, but the next several months will be this time with the Independents. What do you remember about the Independents? I know that they've played the 49ers many, many, many times over the years in terms of just preseason friendlies or bringing guys into training and so forth. But what was your knowledge of the Independents heading into this loan?
Yeah, so I was somewhat familiar with them. I haven't kept up too much in the previous years, maybe a little bit with like former players that I played with, that have played for them. But I just remember when we did play preseason games in college, they were always scrappy games because we were college guys, and they were the only professional team in the city, and we were like, oh well, we can beat these guys. Like, we made it a goal to go out there and beat them, and I think more often than not, like, we did. But obviously, they've grown a lot. I feel like they've gotten better over the years, and last year they had a good season. So I'm just excited to be a part of the Independents this year and to build off of last season, and hopefully, win some trophies with them this year.
I remember covering many of those games. They were always very chippy. Of all, like,
Yes.
seeing you guys play against other teams, seeing them play other, preseason matches and so forth. I was like, man, this is particularly chippy. Okay, all right, but
Yeah,
always,
always.
always in good spirits though.
Yeah, it
Because
was always fun though.
oh yeah, oh definitely. But Now, of course, joining with them, you'll play in Elizabeth, a couple of miles from Bank of America Stadium at American Legion Memorial Stadium, a newly renovated one at that. But that's another saga about that stadium for another episode. But it'll be a chance to, one, like you said, stay close to home. And of course, it would have been, with COVID, I'm sure, very not so much difficult, but a little bit more of a hassle to say, all right, you signed with the club, you're coming here. Now we're going to ship you off to England, Spain, wherever. And that I'm sure it's much easier to just say, you know what, I'm going to play a couple minutes down the road. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think them coming and playing in the city this year will also help grow the game in Charlotte as well. So I'm particularly looking forward to that, and hopefully meeting some supporters from the Independents and Charlotte FC. So it's a good opportunity for me and for the club as well.
And throughout the next several months, is there anything that you're working on specifically with your game?
Specifically, I think just going out and enjoying playing again. I didn't get that many minutes last year for various reasons, but I'm excited to play again. I'm excited to play games again, and I really want to work on going forward with the ball, getting more involved in the attack, and playing some exciting soccer. So that's what I'll be focusing on this year, and I can't wait to play 90 minutes again.
What would you say are the biggest areas of your technical development over the last 3-4 years?
I think specifically my first touch and my decision making. Like I said, you learn a lot from other guys and watching them play, and kind of like the decisions and ideas that you get from them. And I've learned that your first touch and the decisions that you make are probably the two most important parts of the game, maybe right after finishing. But usually those two things help your finishing as well. But yeah, I think those two things, I'm always focused on improving that. And I always try to improve that. So if we want to talk like our technical specifics, it's those two pieces of the game.
Now I have to ask, who's the best player, the player with the best first touch that you've ever played with? And if it happens to be Schweinsteiger, I feel like, there's a potential for that, but who wins that competition?
Yeah, no, it's Schweinsteiger for sure. I mean, he's just so elegant with his movements and his touch. It's just like, he makes it look so easy, and you're just like, how did he do that? But obviously, he's a world-class player. Won a lot of very, very important trophies. So you would expect it out of a guy like him.
Now, of course, there's a lot of talk about, quote unquote, world-class players, big name players, insert given description here, and about Charlotte FC. I would say air quotes, but people will be listening to this and won't be able to see air quotes. So I'm telling you now, air quotes, but that Charlotte FC needs to sign a big name player as well leading up to the upcoming season. Let me rephrase that. Their inaugural season. Upcoming season is 2021. We still got a little ways till 2022. But having played in the league, what are your thoughts on seeing the players who are more established, like Schweinsteiger? Schweinsteiger came in having won basically everything there is to win, and obviously you learned a lot from him. But do you think that that's a necessity in the league, or it's just something that people like to see?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it just depends on what big name player you're bringing in. How he's approaching a new league like the MLS, and I guess kind of like what stage he's at with his career and what kind of guy he is. I think Schweinsteiger was the perfect signing for Chicago Fire, just because he was invested. He always wanted to win. He was willing to help all the players. He didn't have a big ego. And he was a very, very good player and important piece to that team. So if you sign a guy like him, like 100%, yeah, you should do it. But I don't think, if it's not like Schweinsteiger, I don't think you need to do it. Because it's just like, if you win games, people are going to come to the games. Regardless, you'll have big names once you win, because you're going to have winners on the team. So I think it's more important to build a team that you think is going to win, as opposed to just bringing one or two guys in that have big names that, maybe won't breed a winning team.
Hmm.
So I think for me, it's more important to build a team that's going to win, as opposed to one or two guys who are big names that, might not do the trick.
Exactly. And it sounds like there's certainly a mix of that. We'll go back to the Schweinsteiger example of someone who's, yes, in that latter part of their career, but serves more as a mentor versus, all right, well, hey, I'm coming over here to get paid. And, they're bringing me in to sell tickets basically and sell jerseys versus, like you said, you can find that balance of, well, I know that this is something that the technical staff, i.e. Mark Nichols, has spoken to in terms of wanting to really build up from the academy and having those homegrown players versus saying, all right, let's go ahead and spend a ton of money on 2, 3 players and so forth. But that's all semantics that I'm sure we will be discussing much more as things continue and as signings continue. But right now, the club has 4 signings. Have you had a chance to speak with fellow midfielders Riley McGree or Sergio Ruiz yet, or even defender Jan? How do you say Jan's last name?
Honestly, I don't. I'm not sure.
We'll have to have
I'll probably mispronounce it.
Jan Bonsky. Jan, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this and I'm butchering your last name. You'll have to come on the podcast and tell me how to say it, because
Yeah.
that's the best way to fix this. But have you had a chance to speak with any of them yet?
Just like briefly, like congrats or on signing, and then kind of little things like that. Um, Obviously, they're all still in season, so hopefully we can reach out, I guess, more personally, when their season is over, since 3 of them will kind of be in off season, and I'll be the only one playing. Given that there's
Yeah.
no more signings in that time,
Yep.
so,
And I
yeah,
know, of course, the other element that comes with signing players is, the fur babies, if you will, that they bring with them. Because apparently Charlotte FC supporters seem to be in love with Jan's dog. And I know that you said that you and Rebecca are kind of looking at maybe down the road. Is that something that should be looked for in 2021?
yeah. I mean, Rebecca's really pushing it to get a dog, and I'm like, okay, like let's just wait till we find a house,
Yep.
so we don't have to like put the dog in the move as well. Um, so I'm like, look, I'm down to get a dog, but let's
Hmm.
just wait until we get a house first.
Yep. Exactly.
So if we get a house this year, then we will for sure have a dog this year.
Well, much success with the house hunt, because I mean that would be 2 moves mid-pandemic, or who knows, maybe we'll see light at the end of the tunnel and be on the other side of this before too long.
I hope
But
so.
oh yeah, I mean, one move, I feel like one move during a pandemic is plenty for you guys. But
Yes, a lot.
in the meantime, we'll certainly be keeping our eyes open. Have you discussed the type of dog thus far? These are the hard-hitting questions that we ask sometimes on
Yes,
Sports Charlotte.
I know. Rebecca's kind of all over the place with what kind of dog she wants. First, she said she wants a Chihuahua, but then she said she wants a Golden Retriever.
I'm biased
So
on the golden. Go for the golden.
kind of like all over the place. We both do love Chihuahuas though,
Hmm.
and I kind of want a pit bull.
Hmm.
So,
They're so
we'll
sweet.
see.
They're so
Yeah,
sweet. They get a bad
they
rap, but
are.
they're the sweetest.
That's what I'm saying. I totally agree.
Hmm.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll have 2 dogs. If we can't decide on one. So we'll see how it goes.
Well,
But definitely something to look for this year.
absolutely. Well, hey, we're on the opposite end of the spectrum. We love dogs, but at the same time, we're definitely more cat people. So at some point, there's going to be a cat who's probably like you're just going to see a tail like
Oh,
bouncing
for sure.
through.
I'm
So
sure.
yes, but the next time we'll have to introduce the fur babies on the podcast. But in the meantime, in between time, Brandt, thank you so much for joining me on Sports Charlotte. I'm so glad that after many, many years, the better part of half of a decade, we've finally had you on the podcast.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I'm super happy to be here, and hopefully, looking forward to more episodes on the podcast.
Absolutely. You know that I'll be somewhere around a corner saying, hey, I have questions bugging you in the
Yeah.
not too distant future. But in the
Yeah,
meantime,
no, it's all good. Looking forward to it.
yes, definitely. How can people stay in contact with you or keep up with what you're doing? I know social media is a great tool for that. How can they follow you on Twitter, Instagram, the works?
Yeah, both of my handles are Bronabro13 on Twitter and Instagram. So I would say those two are the best ways to follow me.
And I have to ask, number 13, is that cemented for the upcoming season, or is that something that you'll have to wait for until 2022 with Charlotte FC?
No, that is cemented for this season. So
No,
we are good.
very important part of the loan deal. Like, hey, you want me on loan? Number
I need
13.
13.
Got it. We're number 13. All right. Very important things. Well, again, thank you so much. And listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode. Make sure that you head over to thecharlottepost.com/news/QCFC for all the Queen City Football Chronicle content. As you know, every Tuesday, our free newsletter hits your inbox at 7 a.m. because bright and early is how we start the day. So make sure that you head over there. Check it out what else the Post is reporting on, and look for the print edition every Thursday. So until next time, I'm Ashley Mahoney. Thank you for listening.